Hey guys, it's Logan here, back with another YouTube tutorial on creating an advanced pixel platformer in GameMaker Studio 2. In the previous video, we completed our movement for our player, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to design your character in GameMaker Studio 2. Now, I was previously going to show you guys in the software pixelated, but I want everybody to be able to follow me if you would like. So I'm going to show you in GameMaker's image editor. And if you'd still like to see how to do it in pixelated, please let me know, and I don't mind making a separate video for that. I'll still be making most of our graphics in pixelated and then just showing you how to do it in GameMaker Studio. But yeah, before we get started, please check out my video right here. I'm linking it. If you don't know GameMaker Studio's interface for its image editor, I made a short video going over some of the basics. So after you watch that, or if you have enough knowledge, let's jump in. And if you don't want to make your own graphics, don't worry, just wait for the next video. Go to the next video. In the description, I will provide a link to download the assets that you need to import to the game, and I'll show you how to import those later on. And then you can just follow from there and just do the programming if that's what you want to do. But if you want to make your own characters and stuff, then just keep watching. All right, so the first thing we need to do is open up our player sprite and make sure our width and height are 64 by 64. Hit Edit Image. And if they aren't 64 by 64, then we need to go up to our image section on our toolbar and select Resize All Frames, and then Scale Image to 64 by 64, and then hit Apply, and then you're done, and your image is now 64 by 64. And next we need to erase this color to make our background transparent, and we do that by simply going to our fill tool, or not our fill tool, but right next to it is our color removal tool, or hit H, and oh, H didn't work actually. H. Okay, H, and select the blue, and it will completely erase it and give us a blank canvas. All right, so now I want to create two more frames, kind of like for sketching. I'll show you in a second. Go up to this plus and tap it twice, and that's going to create 2 frames for us. So now we have 3 frames total. Okay, so our game, I plan for it to be like a space setting. That's really all I know, is that it's going to be a space setting. That's as far as I've got. That just gives us a basis to create our character. So in the guy I made for our game, I like him quite a bit. So I'm going to be showing you how to make him, but I also want to give you how I got to the point where I created him. So what I start out doing is creating silhouettes. I'll usually create 3 to 4 right off the bat, different ones. The reason for creating silhouettes is, number one, it lets your brain fill in some details, your imagination fill in some details on the interior of the silhouette, kind of imagining what it might look like. It allows your creativity to flow a little bit better. And second, a strong silhouette is really important for good character design. So imagine some of the most iconic characters in gaming. Imagine Mario. If you've seen his silhouette, you would know instantly that it's Mario. Or imagine Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. If you were to see his silhouette, once again, you would know exactly who it was straight from the beginning. So a strong silhouette is really important. As best as you can, try to create that. So let's get started on 3 different silhouettes. And actually, I almost missed a big part. Okay, so remember, our sprites are a base of 16 by 16, base resolution. And we have a 64 by 64 sprite. So we want to paint on the 64 by 64 grid like we are painting on a 16 by 16 grid. It's kind of hard to explain, but as you can see, 1 pixel is really tiny on this grid, and that it's giving us 64 pixels, and that's a little bit large for us to be painting right now. So how we fix this is increasing our brush size by 4. Or we increase it by 3 up to 4. So we increase our brush size up here at the top. Make sure you're on pencil, and then it'll give us a 4 by 4 stamp basically. And now this, if you were to take this side by side vertically, it would give us 16 pixels high and 16 pixels wide, or 16 stamps. I guess we can't call them pixels at this point, but you can see it's not snapping to the grid. We have all this area that we could still cover. So we can fix that also. Go over here to this little grid options box, click the arrow. As you see now, it shows a 16 by 16 grid, which only gives us 4 spaces each. So we can change this to a 4 by 4 grid. And now we have 16 pixels across. If you were to count all of these, well, we still have 64 pixels across. I need to watch what I say. We have 16 grid spaces across. If you were to count all these grid spaces, it would be 16, and also 16 vertical. And now we want to snap into these grid spaces with our brush. So we can hit the snap checkbox under that arrow. And then now it snaps like we're painting on a 16 by 16 pixel surface, zoomed in. And this is what we want. It's perfect. So now the only other thing I want to do is reduce the alpha channel of the grid so we don't see it as much. And we should be good to go. You just click out of that, make sure you're on your brush tool, and now we can paint. And we're painting a scaled image basically. We don't even have to scale it after we paint it. It's already scaled because we're painting it like that. So the first thing we're going to do is create 3 silhouettes, and I'm going to be pretty quick here. I usually start with a head, and then I go down, I make some shoulders, and then I make, let's see, remember our character is going to need a jetpack because we have that jetpacking mechanic, and also a gun because it's a shooter, so you can kind of pixel out the gun here. Maybe make it a little bit more rounded on the arm. He kind of has a big head. We might be able to give him like a helmet, like a space helmet like this, a pretty square one. I don't really like the legs being thick like this for this small of a sprite. So you can hit E for your eraser, and you see it actually has the same brush size as what we were just using, which is great. So we can delete the inside part of that leg and make it a little bit skinnier. And I'm going to be moving pretty quick because really this is all about experimentation. I could sit here and experiment forever. It took me a long time to get our character design down that I want to be using. So we're going to move on, and let's go back to the pencil press the D button, or the D key on your keyboard, and I want to make a little bit larger head. Let's go with, let's see what I did here. Okay, so let's go with, I'm gonna erase with my E key and then hit D again. I'm gonna make a little bit larger head, a lot larger. Let's make 3, 4, 5, and I want to keep 2 spaces on each side of our sprites just to keep it even. This helps us with flipping the image later on without it looking weird or having to make other adjustments. And then I want him to be wearing a pretty big helmet. I'm going to fill all this in, and then he's going to have some type of, let's see, I'm kind of looking off of, let's do his body kind of like this. I made a straight across helmet type thing. Let's actually bring this pixel out a little bit more. And let's see, let's bring his body in a little bit rounded at the bottom. I only want him to have 1 pixel for his legs. So we're gonna put 1 back here, 1 here. And then let's give him a little gun. We'll add the jetpack on later. And that looks pretty good. If we zoom out, you can hold control and mouse wheel. It'll zoom you out. And it's going to look more like that. It's kind of a cute looking character. Okay, and let's do one more. Let's see. We have a medium head. Let's do another medium to large size head. You can't really use the ellipse tool with this brush size. You'll see it doesn't stay on the grid like we'd like. and I don't really know of a way to make it do that, so we can't really use that. We're gonna have to make our own circles using this. Let's make a little bit. I like the wide head still. Let's make a little wide head, but maybe not as tall, not as lengthy. So it's gonna be more wide, more like an oval shape. Yeah, let's do like an oval shape like this. It's kind of weird, but you never know what can happen with this stuff. So I just hit F, filled, and then hit D. It needs to be a little bit longer here. Maybe let's make a little bit more squarish. It's still ovally. Let's make a little neck maybe. And then like a medium-sized body. This is kind of giving it like a robot look almost. Let's see, let's do short legs again. Short legs are going to be easier for us to animate. We can even do a foot in this case with a little gun. That might be a little long. I'm checking up here, seeing like kind of what it looks like further away. You could check down here also. It looks okay. Maybe give him like an arm out here. Thicker neck, maybe. Something like that. It's kind of cool. Okay. So the next thing I do is go in and color them. If you want a good video on selecting colors and how to add shadows and stuff, I'm going to link that below. It's a really good video, not made by me, and it shows you kind of how to go about shading, getting shades, getting the colors of shades for your characters and different pixel art and making the colors more interesting. Like most people, they'll just lower this to get their shade, right? Well, a better way to do this would be to take the hue, move it towards, if you're darkening, move it towards purple slightly, turn your saturation down, and also turn your value down just slightly. And this will give you, if you keep doing this to get darker and darker shades, it gives you more interesting colors. And watch that video, it'll show you all about that in way more detail. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is find colors. So let's say he's wearing like a helmet and he has like this visor up front. Let's get a good visor colors. GameMaker's color palette default really isn't too bad. But let's go in here and edit. Let's go down. Let's edit the saturation, desaturate it a little bit, make it a little bit more white. Okay, so let's say he probably has like an orangish helmet, and let's do kind of like a visor type thing. That looks okay. Maybe a little bit more square. And I want the character outlined. You don't have to outline it, but for the graphic style I'm going for, I'm going to have it outlined. When you have a black or dark outline on your character, it kind of helps it pop from the background. And this is good for especially newer artists that aren't so good with contrast and colors, because you may make a background that your character blends too much in, and making like a darker outline around your character will really make him pop. Kind of the same concept, actually the exact same concept, is taking a white text and putting a black outline on it. You can basically put it on any background and be able to read it. It's kind of that same concept. So, and it also kind of gives it a little bit more retro look. So like I said, some kind of visor. I don't really like how this is going. I'm going to Control Z all the way back out. I kind of even like, let's make it like more of like a helmet. He's just wearing a large helmet. So what we're going to do, I can come back and outline later. What we're going to do is just create this and fill it in. Let's get some base colors down. What color coat? I'm not excellent with colors. It takes a lot of just editing. So let's do like a orangish. Let's do saturated. Let's desaturate that. Let's make it a little bit more orangey. Good enough. That's kind of skin colored. It's a little bit bright, but it's just an example. Let's see here. And what do we want to do for his feet? Let's make some dark blue, like desaturate a little bit. Let's do dark blue for his boots. But when we come back and outline it, his legs are actually going to be that outlining color. You can hold Control to select colors. Hold Control and click to select these different colors. So let's go ahead and outline the character a little bit. And we're going to change his boots back black. And instead of outlining with black, you can outline in like a dark purple. That's kind of what I recommend. It doesn't make it as bold, and I think it still has that, lets it pop out of the background. So I'm kind of outlining here. I don't want to outline any interior lines, so this will be the outline for our character right here. So now I'm seeing he kind of has a more boxy head, so I'm going to select this blue color, and I'm going to darken it, and like I said before, interesting colors. Let's go towards purple, one step. Desaturate, let's give it a value of 18, and then let's turn the value down 2 steps, or let's do 1 step. So when you use that scroller, it kind of jumps quite a lot, and I think I want it darker than this even, but for now that'll work. So I kind of have this dark color. Let's even get a darker one. So let's turn the value down. Let's make the hue go towards purple. Let's go down even more. And I'm gonna kind of outline the helmet right here. And next I want to give a highlight to the to the face of this. So I'm gonna decrease saturation, increase lightness to 92. Okay. And it's kind of gonna have this glare right here. It's kind of cool. And then I want to have some kind of, let's decrease, get a little bit darker color, and I want some kind of thing on the back here. Okay, and next I'm gonna make kind of a some kind of neckline here. Let's see, let's make it to where he has kind of a much lighter, so let's desaturate quite a bit, and then let's do like a much lighter thing here. And then I also want his arm to be quite lighter, and then his gun kind of comes back, and then let's add a hand over here, and then now you kind of have like this hand type thing, and I want to give that right there. And then let's change the color of his pants. He kind of has these pants on, maybe like a dark blue. Let's desaturate it a bit. Let's take the saturation down to 40 in my case, and I kind of give him this dark blue like pants type thing. Okay, so that's kind of weird. We could add some more character to it for sure, maybe adding like the border here. We could definitely maybe put some eyes in here, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other character since the video is already kind of long. So for this one, let's say that we have, let's make a light blue. I want him to be wearing like a helmet, so let's make like a bluish helmet here. And look how I'm leaving the edges black here. I can come back and fix them later, but kind of leave your edges black. And then I want his helmet to be straight across. Let's fill. Let's lighten this up actually. I want to turn the value up and then bring it this way. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then let's make a darker type thing, maybe for like a head inside. And this is kind of more like the character that I created for the game, and he'll be available to download in the next video in the description, okay? And so I kind of made like this head, and let me give you a little story here. I just kind of had this as like a shadow, and I was making a glow around the helmet. And I got to this point where I put like, I went up here and put like white up here. And then I was like, wow, I'm going to put some blue down here to make it transition well. So I put this blue here, and this was just to give like a glow on the top of the helmet. And I kind of zoomed out, and I was like, wow, that looks kind of like an alien's head, like a cute little alien inside the helmet, because I accidentally made these ears. So that might give you some insight on kind of how I thought about this. And then I was like, oh, let's put some eyes on him. So that's what we're going to do right here. I just made him 3 pixels by 3 pixels. So let's do 1, 2, 3. I made it kind of stick out of his head a little bit, make it interesting. And then I made another one, 3 pixels by 3 pixels. And then I also went here and I darkened it. I made like a shade darker, maybe a little bit more darker. Let's go to 85 on our value. Kind of gives you a little bit of a gray. And then let's find like a deep purple for his eyes. Maybe not so saturated. So let's turn the saturation down a bit. There you go. Now we have this purple. And then I wanted the helmet to not be so straight across. So I kind of brought it down like this. And I made too many pixels. And you see I have 2 spaces over here to the right, 2 spaces to the left. So if we were to flip this character, it would kind of flip evenly. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just follow with me. Sorry, I'm talking kind of fast. I just know this video is going to be pretty long and I want to get through this with you guys. So I want to make a darker edge on the outside of this, but I don't want to use black for these interior lines. So I only want to use black for the exterior of the character. And these inner lines will just make darker versions of the color. So how do we do that? We move our hue towards purple. We move our saturation down, and then we move our value down. So this should be pretty dark. I think we lost too much on our saturation. So let's leave that, and then let's come here. That should be good. So now we have a little head for our character, and I'm really liking how this one's looking way better than the previous one, and this is why I make multiple. Don't spend too much time on any one unless you start saying, wow, this is looking really good. Then put your time there. Just forget about the other ones unless another one has potential. Okay? And so next we're going to be, I don't do the gun in the same layer, so we can kind of delete this gun. So let's hit the eraser and let's just kind of do the body. And I kind of went with like an orangish color for the body, maybe a little bit more brown, a little bit more orange really. And then let's saturate it a little bit better and let's fill it in. So remember, we don't have black outlines on the inside here, just on the outside. And you can color all this in and then go back later and outline it. That's totally fine. Whatever method is best for you. So now we have this little body and we have his feet, and his feet are okay to be outlined like this. So you see we have these exterior outlines. We have his eyes, and let's move on to his torso. We need to make a shadow for his torso. So let's decrease the value, decrease the saturation a little bit, and move the hue towards, we're making it darker. So we're moving it towards purple. So we should move it actually this way, left. See how it moves towards purple because it'll loop around to the red. And this should give us a decent shading color for underneath the helmet to give it a little bit more 3D-ish. And I think that's looking pretty good for the body. And we can turn the grid off so you don't see it, but you can just change the alpha is the best way to do it so you still snap to the grid. And you know, that's looking decent. Maybe the color of his body could be edited a little bit, but that's the base of our character. So let's add a gun, and then we'll add a jetpack. So let's do this on new layers. I have this layer named Silhouette. Let's go ahead and change that. So click that, hit F2, hit Player, Body, and create a new layer with this button down here. And this is going to create a new layer, and let's name it Player Gun. And this is going to include his hands and everything also. So now we can, with these layers, see we can edit, we can draw on this and it reset our brush size, and then you can make it invisible or even delete it and it won't affect your layer underneath. So this is what we want. I'm going to hit Control Z to stop that, go back to a 4x4 brush, hit our black for our outline, and I'm going to kind of try to make a little gun here. Cannot paint to the selected layer, it's locked or hidden. I need to unhide it. When I hit Control Z, it didn't erase all this. What I'm going to do is erase color. I'm going to select that color and erase all those dots. Okay, so I'm going to just draw a little gun, and we're going to add little hands too. Let's do 1, 2, and I kind of already, let's do that, and then under. And we can hide the player's body actually right now, so we can kind of get a shape going for our gun. And this is going to include the hands also. That's why it might look a little odd. I'm actually going to make it a little bit, need to make it longer, I think. So maybe even a little bit longer. That might be okay. And let's give the gun a kind of metallic-y look. Let's make it more metallic-y. So let's do a lighter gray for the top. And then we can use the darker gray for the bottom still. And let's see. Let's bring this in, because there's going to be two hands here, like he's holding it with two hands. So I'm going to select my black. I'm going to erase this, and then I'm going to kind of make it like that. It's going to be kind of like his hands are together. And then let's bring the player's body back with hitting the I key. Well, we need to make hands. What color should we make them? I think if we make them the same color as his body for now, that would be okay. So Control, select that color. Let's hide his body again. And then go back to the player gun. And then that kind of gives us, like, he's holding kind of a rifle, which is kind of cool. And we can even give it kind of a blue tint, or a blue thing on top. Maybe desaturate it a little bit. Overly saturated colors aren't always good, so don't worry too much about it right now, but try to... It's a big mistake I made for a long time, and a lot of people make, is using these colors. They're way overly saturated, and they look a little bit too cartoony and bright, you know what I mean? So when you desaturate a little bit, it really can help your look. So let's unhide our player. And we have our player gun selected, and we can hit S and select it. And then we can actually move it around without moving the player, and we can see what it looks like in different positions. So we can animate it later when we're shooting to kind of move back and forth, like recoil like that, or bounce up and down for idle or whatever. So I think up here it looks pretty good, somewhere around right there. And you can mess around, make multiple guns. Totally up to you. Now we're going to move on to jetpack. So let's make another layer. We'll call it jetpack. And I'll show you how this is going to kind of change things for us. So let's go back to our black, and now we're on our jetpack layer. And right now it's going to be able to draw over the player. That's totally fine. We're just going to make kind of a, let's see, kind of seeing, this might work. Yeah, that'll work. Kind of a jetpacky thing, and let's use like a gray again. Let's fill it. Oh, we can't fill. So let's hide the player's body. Go back to our black, hit D to get to our pencil, and let's just finish the entire jetpack. And then let's go to the gray, let's fill it, and then let's add highlights with a lighter gray. Hit D to go back to our pencil, and that kind of gives us a little bit too bright of a gray. There we go. This will kind of be our jetpack. And now let's unhide the player, and you'll see it's on top, but we can just move the jetpack under our player, and you can see now it's behind him. So let's edit the player's colors a little bit because like I said, I don't want to outline these interior colors, but it still looks good. It's up to you. If you want to stop right now, you totally can. But I'm going to show you another way of doing this, which I didn't do with the weapon because I wanted the weapon to kind of stand out a little bit, and the weapon's going to be moving around. But for these lines in here, we can select Control and get this dark brownish, and we can make an even darker brown. And let's move towards purple, which in this case is going to be left. And let's go even darker. So let's go with 35 for the value. And we need, oh, I was still in the jetpack layer, so I Control Z'd out of it. Now I'm going to the player body. And I'm actually going to do the interior colors, just darker versions of the actual color that is on there. So for here, I'm gonna have to get a darker blue. So I'm gonna decrease the value. I don't think we need to decrease the saturation in this case. And that's gonna kind of give me interior lines. And when you zoom out, it doesn't look too crowded in here, and it still has separation. You can make it even darker if you want, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there, and it looks pretty good. And in the next video, we'll go ahead and separate these. I'm gonna show people that didn't want to pixel how to import their own assets that I'm gonna provide, and we'll start animating and things like that. So go ahead, if you like this character, go ahead and delete your other ones by hitting the X right here. And you can hit X escape at the top, and you can run the game right now. It's going to, your collisions might not be perfect because you'll have we haven't created a mask yet, but actually I think it automatically has the mask made, so you can actually still play it pretty well. And that looks pretty cool. Our character is in the game, and we'll be bringing him to life soon. All right, awesome. Thank you for watching. I know the video is long. If you liked, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.